Guys, I think they finally lost me. So F9, the Fast Saga, sees everyone from Fate of the Furious return, except for a couple people, and sees John Cena join the mix as Dom's brother, who is working with Cypher to try to get this device that, I don't know, like takes over the world or something. So I guess we'll start off with the good stuff. There's a few of them. So first off, the movie's obviously very competently helmed. It's well directed. The stunts look cool. CGI is well done. Technically, this movie's well made. Whatever, all the crazy shit that they do a good job of making it look real within the movie, so I have to give them props for that. Of course, there's some cool interactions between the characters, mostly Roman and Tej, but some of the other ones as well. Some funny banter. You're going to get that in these movies. There's some genuinely funny moments in this movie. I'm not just talking about funny because of how stupid it is, and there's a lot of those, and we'll get there as well. But I'm talking about genuinely funny dialogue and moments that made me laugh out loud, as well as a lot of people in the theater. So it was nice to see that again. And I would stay for the mid-credit scene. It's really, really cool, and it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. It's a scene that kind of ties back to something that happened before and teases something that might happen in the future. I'm not exactly sure where it's going to go, but it's very intriguing, and I would definitely recommend, if you do see this movie, staying for that. Oh boy, now on to the bad. I didn't like this movie, guys. I'm a big fan of this franchise, and I think this is the one that finally lost me. I think they took it too far, and they have jumped the shark. I really think that's what happened. In the other movies, I know everyone's going to say, oh, this franchise always has been ridiculous and over the top and not realistic. True, but in the other ones, it seemed like they at least maintained a shred of realism. Like, you could potentially think that, well, maybe in the right situation, especially considering the Fast and Furious universe is basically like an enhanced version of reality, it's not that crazy that this could happen. Some of the stuff they do in this movie is way further than anything they've ever done before, both figuratively and literally. I'm going to get into spoilers, guys. It's been several days since the movie came out. I can't really talk that much about it without getting into spoilers. They go to space. They finally do it. It's been a meme for so many years. It's been a joke. And I thought it was just a joke. I'm like, they're not actually dumb enough to do that, are they? And if they do, they're at least going to take like an actual spaceship, aren't they? Nope. They go to space in a fucking car in this movie. Guys, I can't with this anymore. I enjoy this franchise. I really, really do. And the craziness I've been fine with for the most part. But they've gone way too far now. It's full-on sci-fi. It's fantasy at this point. They no longer have any shred of realism. You can't possibly believe that any of this stuff could happen in real life, even in the Fast and Furious universe. As ridiculous as it is, this movie takes it to a whole new level, and this is where they have finally lost me. They've gone too far. I think hopefully they rein it in a little bit with the next one, but this one, they finally did it. I kind of figured it was going to happen at some point, and they were heading this direction, but I was hoping that they would maintain at least a little bit of realism. This movie completely lost it and embraces it. Some people like that. They even call it out within the movie itself. The characters say, like, are we invincible or what's going on here? And some people say that's them being self-aware. I'm like, no. They're flipping off the audience. They're like, fuck you guys, we can do whatever you want, nothing matters. That's what it was like to me. That scene of dialogue, going to space, there's multiple other things in this movie. There's a scene where Dom is basically being tackled by 20 different guys. He grabs these chains and pulls down the roof, kills like a bunch of these guys. Somehow he lands in the water, survives. Letty dives. She was way, way up there, by the way. Dives into the water and rescues him. It's like, what are we doing here at this point? Obviously, you saw in the trailer the scene where he hooks the car onto the rope and swings around the cliff and then gets to the other side. They've done some crazy shit in the other Fast and Furious movies. Probably the worst of it was in 7 when they were jumping from building to building with the car. They've never done anything like this, not even close. This is the one, for me, that has finally gone too far. They finally jumped the shark, and it really, really sucks as a fan of this franchise. I just can't. The stakes are completely gone. Nothing matters. They're all superheroes. We know they're going to survive all this ridiculous stuff. No matter what happens, they're going to win. Nobody can die. And it's like, what exactly is the point of these movies anymore? There used to be, even with all the craziness, you felt in some of the past movies that there were genuine stakes. Like, there were, what's happening here matters. These guys could potentially die. Now they're just going full on, everyone's invincible, and they're even making fun of it in the movie. And I just don't like that. I don't like where this finally headed, even though I thought it probably would. Doesn't work for me whatsoever. Not to mention, the story is convoluted as fuck. Somehow, John Cena is trying to get this magical device that's in every action movie where it lets you see everything and takes over the world. You need like 2 different pieces of it. Ridiculous, and was honestly confusing at times as to what exactly they're trying to do. Charlize is in the movie a little bit. Her performance is good. She was too good for the movie. Didn't like the haircut, but hopefully, I'll give the movie this. One more positive that I forgot. There's room for a solid sequel. If they tone it down a little bit, Charlize is still alive, so it'll be interesting to see what they do in the next one. There's room for a good sequel. Will they tone it down? Probably not. They'll probably go even crazier. I hope they don't, but that's one more thing that I will give it, is that the ending with Charlize's character, it teases more, and I did like that part of it. The ending in general, not so good. The resolution was really unsatisfying, and the final act was basically just CGI, stunt work noise. I didn't really care about anything because there's no stakes anymore. But to go back to the plot itself, doesn't really make any sense. John Cena's involvement in the movie, leading up to it, I'm like, okay, so how does Dom have a brother that we've never heard of before? And all of a sudden he's entering the fray. Family is such a huge concept throughout this franchise. It's a huge theme, always talking about family in every movie, and we've never seen this guy before. They did a fairly decent job of explaining him and Dom's relationship and their backstory and why he hasn't been around until now, given what they had to work with. Or I guess they kind of wrote themselves in that corner, but they did a fairly decent job of explaining that. Still doesn't work. Nothing could have explained how Dom has a brother that we've never heard of up until this point. They kind of retcon his dad's death. Everything's the same as we knew. We've heard it explained before, which is why, was it really necessary to spend so much time on flashbacks showing it? Not really, but we learned that John Cena's character, Jacob, Dom's brother, was involved. He was working on the car as well, and Dom thinks he was responsible because he was the last one working on the engine. It seems still pretty crazy that there's no way this would have came up, either mentioned by Mia or Letty or anything like that before. Massive stretch, but they did a fairly decent job, given all that, explaining what exactly happened. I just didn't quite buy it. Cena's performance was surprisingly decent. I still don't think he's a very good actor. I think they should have probably picked someone else. But he did a fairly decent job. His character's involvement doesn't really work for me, and they spent so much time on the damn flashbacks, which really pads the runtime. The movie's way too fucking long. So flashbacks were not necessary. They did a decent job of them, but it just really, they would put them in really weird spots and mess with the flow of the movie. So yeah, wasn't a fan of that. And then there's a couple characters in there that are meant to be important to the plot, but they get no characterization whatsoever. Han's friend, we're meant to really feel for her. They briefly give us a backstory, and then she's supposed to be like this big MacGuffin that everyone's trying to get that comes out of nowhere. Adds to the convoluted plot. Her character just I didn't care for her at all. So this movie was a mess structurally to me, and they've gone way too far with the ridiculousness. They've become a parody of themselves at this point, to where they've lost me, even as a big fan of the franchise. I really, really hope they tone it down for the next one. If so, I'll be really glad, but I don't see that happening, and I think they're going to try to top themselves once again. I just think they've lost it. I can't get into this anymore. There's absolutely no weight to anything. Nothing matters anymore. So even though there was some level of enjoyment out of this movie, I can't recommend it. I would say that I would only watch it if you can watch it for free eventually at some point on a streaming service or something. maybe just to see how ridiculously stupid it is. Look up the after credit scene on YouTube. It's pretty interesting. But other than that, I wouldn't pay for this movie. Definitely wouldn't go to theaters, even though it's a somewhat of a fun theater experience because of all the effects and stuff. I wouldn't bother with it. It's too much money for a movie ticket these days. I'm going to give F9 The Fast Saga a 5 out of 10. So yeah, guys, this one really lost me. I can't say that I like this movie. I figured they were heading this direction again, but not a fan of it. They've finally gone too far. Yes, they've always been ridiculous. Yes. But they've maintained a shred of reality. This one throws that out the window. No stakes to anything. They can just do whatever the fuck they want. They can fly to space in a car. Nothing matters. And that's just not the kind of thing I like. So I was not a fan of this movie. What did you guys think? I know a lot of people enjoy it. A lot of people feel the same way as me. If you've seen it, drop a comment below with your thoughts. Guys, if you enjoy my content, please like. Likes are huge for YouTube channels. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell if you want to keep seeing my content. And there should be more stuff coming out. I got several ideas for what I want to do with some other videos, some different types of stuff besides movie reviews. I am going to get a new background and a new setup eventually, so that's happening soon. So stay tuned, guys. There's a lot of cool stuff coming, and I will see you soon.